Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And thank you to my wonderful Victorian colleague, the Assistant Minister to the Treasurer, who has been doing fantastic work with the Treasurer and indeed the whole parliamentary team to return Australia to a surplus by 1920. The first time since 2007 where we have worked hard over 6 years undoing the mess of 6 years of Labor in government. A Labor who last delivered a surplus when I was just 5 years old. Now, not only are we the responsible economic managers on this side of the chamber, but Australians expect that from a coalition government. They expect that from the Treasury and Finance team in the cabinet of a coalition government, and we have indeed exceeded their expectations and given a solid and clear path back to surplus and then to paying down our debt. While we were fortunate not to be hit quite as hard as a number of other countries in the 2008 GFC, we would not have been able to weather the storm without the savings of the Howard government, demonstrating the vital importance of making savings during good times. A government that prioritises strong economic management is a government that shows respect for its citizens and residents, as the money that the government spends is ultimately taxpayers' money. It also allows us to spend more on essential services and vital infrastructure, such as that of the Frankston to Baxter electrification and duplication, where in the federal budget we've contributed $225 million in my electorate of Dunkley. Now, many of the government's reforms from the 2018-19 federal budget are about handing control of people's hard-earned money back to them, such as the personal income tax reforms, reforms to lower the tax, particularly for small businesses, and the measures we have introduced to protect my constituents' superannuation. Now, I believe, Madam Deputy Speaker, that Dunkley residents, and indeed all Australians, are entitled to the dignity and personal responsibility of being able to support themselves wherever possible, and our superannuation system is a big part of that. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, my first question today is I'd like to ask the Minister if he can address the chamber on what we are doing to not only return the budget to surplus, but what the benefits from that will be. I'd also ask the Minister to address what are the opportunities under our superannuation system reforms in terms of the coalition government given constituents in my electorate and elsewhere in Australia the ability to pursue their own interests and manage their own money to a greater extent. Further, Madam Deputy Speaker, the reason I ask this latter question is, given that we have a compulsory superannuation system in Australia, the government has an obligation to ensure that the superannuation system works to the benefit of Australians, including in Dunkley. I'm proud in Dunkley to advocate for my constituents and to support their right to take their future into their own hands. Superannuation belongs to the individual and no one else, not the government and not the superannuation funds. The action that the government has taken includes empowering the ATO to reunite people's lost or low and inactive accounts with their active superannuation accounts wherever possible, capping certain fees for low balance accounts at 3% annually and banning exit fees on all accounts. These reforms are all with the objective of improving the superannuation regulatory system to protect Australians from excessive fees, unnecessary insurance premiums and the inefficiencies which result from inadvertently holding multiple accounts. This is especially the case where, in some cases, individuals are forced to hold multiple accounts as a result of restrictions on superannuation choices, restrictions which we propose to lift. I would also hope and ask, Madam Deputy Speaker, that all MPs support these measures to ensure that my constituents in Dunkley have access to more of their hard-earned money. And so my second supplementary question is, Minister, if you can answer this question with relation to what we are doing to ensure that my constituents and constituents across Australia have the support to have additional autonomy over their own funds and to manage what is essentially their own money. Lastly, I know that residents in Dunkley, be they in Frankston, Langwarrin, Skye, Mount Eliza, Seaford or elsewhere, appreciate being treated as responsible and capable individuals, and I know that these fair reforms and consumer protections that we are supporting will empower them to work towards their retirement with confidence. Lastly, in addition to my previous question, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would ask the Minister, is the Minister aware of any alternative policy discussions that are predicted to hurt people in retirement? Now, I note that it is our responsibility as a government to ensure that we govern and legislate in the best interests of Australians, and I look forward to the Minister's answer.
To the member for Dunkley, he's correct. He is absolutely correct in his observations around our superannuation package. The government's empowering the ATO to reunite people's lost, low or inactive accounts with their active super accounts. We're capping certain fees to ensure that you don't just have your balance eroded by never-ending fees and insurances. We're banning all exit fees on accounts because we think it's your money and you should be able, if you choose, to transfer those amounts. And we're also ensuring that insurance is fit for purpose. No longer will particularly young people with small balances be paying for insurance they don't need. The member for Dunkley also referred to the retirees tax. Well, it'll be clear to all that Labor's retirees tax is absent from this appropriation bill, and we will fight them every day until the next election to make sure that hard-working Australians who have been law-abiding, who have paid taxes their whole lives, who might have a modest amount of assets, including Australian shares which pay a franked dividend, are not going to have up to a quarter of their income taken away from the Labor Party. And the member for Barker referred to Labor's $220 billion of new taxes. Well, it's very interesting. For 2 years, we saw the Leader of the Opposition and the Shadow Treasurer and the member for Fenner running around the country talking about how they were going after these very, very nasty millionaires and billionaires and large multinational corporates, the Apples and the Googles of the world, and they were very hairy-chested about it. And now what do we see? We see the two largest measures of their $220 billion of additional taxes are not going after those supposed terrible rich people. They're going after the most vulnerable in our society. They're going after retirees. The biggest single contributor to their cash splash is a raid on the savings of retirees with their retirees tax. Secondly, they're going after small and family businesses with a range of additional taxes, including presumably, although it's very unclear, presumably that they will reverse our tax cuts for small and medium businesses. So instead of going after the so-called top end of town that we've heard about incessantly from these class warfare warriors, the two groups who in the end are going to fund Labor's uncontrolled spending around the country are retirees on low incomes, retirees and in many cases pensioners with a self-managed super fund, pensioners and retirees, and also small family businesses. So no longer will this faux class warfare campaign work when we know the people they're going after, the people who are funding the reckless spending or reckless proposed spending of those opposite, are people who are working hard, who are by no means wealthy, who need every dollar they can and shouldn't be the ones, just because they're an easy target, just because they're easy to go after, just because they don't have a strong voice, shouldn't be the ones that the Labor Party go after. So I say to the member for Barker, that is absent from this appropriation bill, and we will fight the Labor Party each and every day until the next election on that retirees tax.